The 2020 presidential elections will not be normal elections. In fact, they will be like none other in recent times. They will be a focal point in the struggle over whether the US is going to become a fascist country. And what people do in this complex situation will matter greatly.
There is a tradition in this country, in fact, one of the prides of this country is the peaceful transition of power, and that no matter how hard fought a campaign is, that at the end of the campaign, that the loser concedes to the winner, not saying that you're necessarily going to be the loser or the winner, but that the loser concedes to the winner and that the country comes together in part for the good of the country. Are you saying you're not prepared now to commit to that principle?
What I'm saying is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
Chris.
Can you give a direct answer? You will accept the election?
I have to see. Look, I have to see. No, I'm not going to just say yes. I'm not going to say no. And I didn't last time either.
Since June of this year, groups of politicians, academics, and military officials have been quietly meeting to run simulations and game out scenarios. What if President Trump refuses to concede a loss, as he publicly hinted he might do? How far could he go to preserve his power? Diverse voices in the US are expressing concern that the Trump-Pence regime has no intention of leaving office, regardless of the results of the election. And these fears are justified. Not only has Trump repeatedly tweeted in opposition to the whole idea of using mail-in ballots, he has also floated the idea of postponing the elections altogether. Trump and the Republicans are doing everything they can to cheat and steal the election, suppressing voters who are likely to vote against Trump, and at the same time delegitimizing the election beforehand, claiming in advance that the process is rigged. Then, if they lose, they can try to hold onto power while contesting or denying the results.
Make sure, because the only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Remember that. It's the only way we're going to lose this election. So we have to be very careful.
All of this is geared toward laying the groundwork for Trump to insist that no matter what the actual vote count is in the election, even if he loses, that he will have the right to call foul and refuse to leave office. In the meantime, his followers are being rallied and prepared to do whatever Trump sees as necessary to stay in power. This has alarmed people everywhere. A group of 67 former government officials and other high-level ruling class figures, academic experts and journalists, came together and carried out simulations, sometimes called war games, held by an organization called Transition Integrity Project. Look at what they said in the report. President Trump is likely to contest the result by both legal and extra-legal means in an attempt to hold onto power. Recent events, including the president's own unwillingness to commit to abiding by the results of the election, the Attorney General's embrace of the president's groundless electoral fraud claims, and the unprecedented deployment of federal agents to put down left-wing protests, underscores the extreme lengths to which President Trump may be willing to go in order to stay in office. This very serious reality has led to a range of people thinking about and envisioning what might happen if Trump refuses to leave. Democrats and anti-Trump Republicans have expressed great concern for undermining the foundational norms of American democracy, like the peaceful transition of power that gives legitimacy to their whole system. There is even speculation about the response that the US military would take. Would they remove Trump from office if he loses and refuses to leave? Even if the generals move to do this, would the rest of the military go with them or with Trump? And what if Trump calls out his base?
If Trump calls his base to the streets with their guns,
his base owns something like 60 to 70% of the 300, 400 million guns in America. If they answer that call and come to the streets with guns, then we probably are going to have a need for the military. And then all bets are off as to how much blood might flow.
Think about it. These are the conclusions of high-level experts, Republicans and Democrats, military and civilians. These people have done a lot of work. They are warning of the dangers they see on the horizon. They've tried to develop solutions and strategies to, in their words, save democracy. But they are trying to resolve this on the terms of their system, fighting for the stability of the system, not the interests of the people. There are others, progressives active in movements of opposition, who, while mainly relying on the institutions of this system, also argue it will be strengthened by people acting in the streets. But here's the thing. Even the best are saying we should do something if and when Trump refuses to leave office. This is as dangerous as it is foolish. What these reports are highlighting tells us that we cannot wait until November to take to the streets in our millions. Trump is not waiting. He is preparing, and his troops are getting organized and battle ready. Look at the paramilitary forces that were formed and sent to cities like Portland and Seattle under the direction of Trump to brutally crush dissent. Look at the MAGA fascists who have been holding armed rallies around the country and attacking Black Lives Matter protesters. They are gaining strength and initiative and intimidating the people who oppose this fascism, especially in a highly contested election, could contribute to Trump actually winning the election, quote-unquote, legitimately. Instead of waiting until after the elections to act, think about the difference it would make if from now through September and October, more and more people from all walks of life and different political persuasions are on a mission to spread the word and organize so that masses of people are repeatedly taking to the streets and staying there, in the way millions did in response to the racist police murder of George Floyd, raising the unifying demand and objective, Trump-Pence out now. This is the mission of the organization refusefascism.org, which has called for 60 days of nationwide mass protest and struggle beginning on September 5th. In the beautiful rising sparked by the murder of George Floyd, we see what is possible when a determined people come into the streets over and over and over around a just cause. The actions of millions of people forced all of society to confront institutionalized racism and murder by police. The people tore down statues to white supremacy. This terrified Trump to the point of hiding in a bunker. Even the head of the U.S. military had to apologize to the people in opposition to his boss and commander-in-chief, Pig Trump. If masses of people are already in the streets over the 60 days running up to the election, and then the regime attempts to discount, challenge, or dismiss the results, we would be a people organized and mobilized to act in defiance that this not go down. And if we launch this struggle and increasingly tap into and mobilize the deeply held desire of millions to see the ouster of the fascist Trump-Pence regime, no one can say how far this can go or how fast. The future depends on you being on a mission now to move heaven and earth to arouse and organize people to take to the streets and prepare to stay in the streets to demand the Trump-Pence fascist regime must go now.